Harry has proven that he can't be trusted. Since that meeting in September, all he has done is take bags of cash for speaking.
Breaking today, King Charles finally puts his foot down. He will not be reconciling with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle after making a major announcement regarding his cancer improvement. That's despite fears Queen Camilla was offering an olive branch to the delusional Duke and Duchess by including pictures of their wedding day in her Christmas display. However, briefing directly to the Times over the weekend says that Harry and Meghan are unlikely to reconcile with their sick fathers. Now, we know when it comes to Thomas Markle, Meghan has taken a brutal and quite revolting approach. But it's very different with Harry. He has tried to emotionally manipulate the king's cancer battle in order to win his way back. And let's be honest, he wants to spend as much time as possible in the United Kingdom because he doesn't want to be anywhere near his wife. But the Times reports for both the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, there have been hints that their deeply damaged relationships with their fathers might be on the road to repair. This week, Meghan made contact with her estranged father, Thomas Markle, with a letter sent to his hospital bed on the island of Cebu in the Philippines, while in September, Prince Harry had his first meeting in 2 years with the King. However, even as Christmas approaches, the Times understands there is little hope that either of these will lead to wider reconciliation. The Duke will not spend time this month at Sandringham with the royal family, the 7th year they have been apart at Christmas. But here's the critical line. He has also not been in phone contact with his father since the meeting in September, it is understood. He still has no contact with the Waleses after Prince Harry's tell-all autobiography, Spare, made several damaging allegations about his family, including that Prince William punched him to the floor during an argument. His stated hopes of a reconciliation with the king as he battles cancer appear to have been dashed by a misplaced accusation that his aides leaked details of their September meeting to sabotage the relationship. One source close to the Sussex camp claimed that Prince Harry and his father do speak and said yes when asked if the relationship was going the right way. But a source in London said the suggestion was laughable. Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, that is utterly brutal. That is the Times newspaper, the newspaper of record, being directly briefed, in my opinion, by Buckingham Palace to say Harry is lying. Meghan is lying. There is no contact. We don't forgive you for your behavior back in September. So while all Meghan and Harry were doing over the weekend was saying, oh, look, we're back in because, there's the picture, and the picture is not just coincidentally placed there. It's Charles and Camilla sending this message. Very quickly, Buckingham Palace snapped back. It comes on the day that Charles is revealing positive news about his health. And personally, Brittany, I view all of this as the king taking back control in that relationship. And I think it's a good thing. Harry's behavior since September and around that meeting was utterly appalling. He cannot be continually awarded for terrible behavior.
He can't, Dan, because Harry sort of being enabled in this entire process is how they ended up in this mess of Harry thinking he can establish a royal court. That if he just tells them he's going to a certain location, they don't tell him no because they can't really tell him no, that somehow a royal seal of approval. Harry has proven that he can't be trusted. Since that meeting in September, all he has done is take bags of cash for speaking, oftentimes negatively about his family, about the UK, and sort of framing that meeting in sort of terrible ways. And so the royal family just can't simply trust him. His father can't trust him. And yes, it is understandable that Charles wanted a good relationship with Harry and Meghan. And so they very carefully, and I would say, and when I say they, I mean the royals, we saw this with Queen Elizabeth and her Christmas addresses, very carefully places certain pictures around the room. This is not the pictures, let's say, that they have personally there all the time, but it's ones to send a message. And I think always the strongest message that Charles can send is that Harry is always my son. He is always welcome as my son. But when it comes to the monarchy as an institution, that is a separate matter. And that is something that we will deal with separately. And so I feel like we're seeing some of that separation there because it's definitely we're seeing a big picture of Prince Louis's christening where the whole family is there. One of the, the few pictures they have of the entire family. I mean, I feel so sorry for Charles because he wants that relationship with Harry and Meghan, and they deny him. He is willing, let's say, to bend in some ways, but they're not willing to bend at all or reframe everything in some sort of nefarious way and always want their perspective to be known about a particular situation rather than considering that, oh, there's somebody else in this scenario. Harry and Meghan are the architects of their bad relationships with their family. And because neither one of them have a good relationship with their father, I think we can safely assume that it's Harry and Meghan that are the problem, not anybody else in this scenario. So I don't think Meghan wants Harry to have a relationship with his family. I don't think in some ways Harry does, but he doesn't because he has to live in the land of delusion because it has to be everybody else's fault that his life is crap. Instead, I think personally, it's his fault and he just doesn't want to accept that reality.
100%. 100%. It is totally his fault. And Brittany, so much of this, and this is where I do find it very manipulative, was the fact that he was almost banking on Charles being in his dying days. And look, let's just be honest here. The cancer is incurable and Charles remains battling it. He remains in treatment. But the news from late last week, Brittany, that he can reduce the treatment going into 2026 is a positive sign. And as a result, there's less of that sort of need for an immediate deathbed reconciliation, which is, I think, what Harry was almost trying to engineer earlier this year.
I see that as being a possibility because Harry, Dan, you're right. He wants at least everything about Harry and Meghan at this point is a PR stunt. You can basically guarantee that anything they're doing is not because they're interested in that particular activity, that they want to speak at whatever particular event, or that they want to reconcile with their parents. It's all about validating basically their bank accounts, their ideas, and these sorts of things. And so, because of that, you can't really rely on Harry and Meghan to be good actors in any particular situation. And while, yes, it is profoundly good that King Charles can sort of reduce his treatment regimen. I mean, I do know people who have stage 4 who do continue to go on treatment regimens, but can, let's say, lessen the dose or lessen the amount of time between treatments and these sorts, or increase the amount of time between treatments to sort of create a better life for themselves, to create a better living situation. But it doesn't mean he's totally out of the woods. And Harry, again, he has this sort of risk here because he's basically banking on, well, if my dad is better now, maybe I don't have to try quite as hard or these sorts of things, where his father could take a turn in a second and all of a sudden he's gone and Harry's screwed at that point. Because I think at the end of the day, Harry's only making amends because his wife told him, hey, our titles might be stripped. We desperately need those because we have nothing else going for us but those royal titles. In the entertainment industry, you better make sure we keep those after your father's death or something. And so I just feel like it all comes across as incredibly shallow. It's all for PR. And that's why it goes incredibly sideways every single time. Harry could have had a nice meeting with his father, shut up about it, gone on it about his business, but no, he had to rail against the fact that, the royal staff were leaking and all these sorts of things and portraying it badly. And it's like, this is why you can't trust Harry because he wants everything his way all the time. He has no ability to compromise, and everything about him at this point is a shallow PR stunt, desperate to try to make himself look better rather than actually having a personal and close relationship with his father. And that is on Harry.
Yeah, it really is, Brittany. It really is. Now, look, at the same time, God, it's all involving the parents at the moment, isn't it? GB News has had to issue a grovelling apology to Meghan Markle's mother, Doria Ragland. It seems, Brittany, like for the first time, she has confirmed that she spent no time in jail, even though she did effectively, I'd use the word abandoned, others may say spent time away from her daughter to allow Thomas to be the main caregiver during her teenage years. Now, this was all sparked after Carol Malone, a prominent UK broadcaster and columnist, went on GB News last week. We covered it at the time and said this.
Compassion for the father who actually brought her up, who paid for her private education while her mother was in jail, who took huge care of her. And she's not seen him in the latter years. More importantly, I mean, she's not just seen him, she's like totally snubbed him.
When was her mum in jail? When was her mum in jail?
Years ago. Do you want me to give you the precise date, time? Because I haven't got it.
I've never heard that forever.
Years ago. Anyway, she. But you know, this old gentleman now could be dying. Yeah. He needs to see his daughter.
Okay, now you will know, Brittany, there have long been rumours about exactly what Doria was doing. It's something that Tom Bauer has hinted at. I've had conversations about it with Samantha Markle and Thomas Markle Jr. too. But of course, we've never said that she was categorically in jail. There's been lots of suggestions about what she got up to over that period. But it looks like there was some type of threat. Again, this hasn't been confirmed. Some type of threat of legal action by Meghan Markle or legal teams working on behalf of Doria Ragland, because today, and this wasn't her usual day to present on GB News, Carol Malone was dragged into the studio, and this is one of these hostage video apologies. Oh, good Lord, it's mortifying. Bad quality, by the way, because they haven't put it anywhere on the internet, but luckily we were able to capture the moment that it happened live. Watch.
Yes, Piers, thank you. Okay, in an episode of Witness News on Thursday, December 4th, 2025, I stated that Thomas Markle, the Duchess of Sussexes' father, told Meghan off while her mother, Doria Ragland, was in prison. I believe this to be the case based on what I now understand to be misinformation. I assume online. I was questioned about the validity of this claim during the broadcast, and I repeated this belief, which I now understand to be false. This was a genuine error. I accept what I have now been told on behalf of Miss Ragland, that she raised her daughter and that she has never been in prison or jail. I apologise sincerely to Miss Ragland and her family for any pain my comments may have caused, and I'm happy to set the record straight.
Can I just say on opportunities, because I was on the programme that too, we all wish to apologise to Miss Ragland for the error, and we are happy to correct the record.
Well, I think somebody from Meghan's PR team definitely reached out to GB News to complain about it, but I've never actually believed the rumors that Doria was in prison. I have always stated that, don't believe it. In the United States, it's pretty easy, I think, or you do have the ability to figure out if somebody has a prison record. There is no record that's come available that has shown that. So I've never been of that opinion, but I do, let's say, have questions and strong questions, you could say, for legal reasons about her stating that she did raise Meghan. Because yes, she was there definitely in the early years, but from, let's say, late adolescence all the way into the teenage years, she was with her dad, and her mom definitely disappeared because, again, Meghan just revealed last month to Harper's Bazaar that the only, let's say, relationship, like the reason she wanted to become a mom was because of the women she would see playing moms on TV. You say that when you don't have a mom in the house, in my personal opinion, or a very good mom. You idolize the people on TV because it looks better than what you have at home. So obviously, Doria was not in the house for a good chunk of time or very involved for a good chunk of time. But I think the apology was necessary, and it's a good reminder of why I and you and other people, we always say our opinion or something like that, because you don't want to say something as a definitive fact that you've only seen rumored on X or Facebook or what have you. You need to actually have some verifiable facts here. There are no verifiable facts other than there was obviously a period of time somewhere where she wasn't very involved. And Meghan sort of alluded to that. We know Thomas Markle actually had a huge portion in raising her. Not that her mother wasn't totally there, but she was obviously somewhat out of the picture. I think that's hard to deny. And I don't even think now the two of them really have all that good of a relationship. Her mom's just convenient, and I think, in my personal opinion, her mom's just willing to go in on the grift with her daughter.
Totally, totally. And actually a lot less willing in recent months to go along with the grift. I mean, she was fully there when it was the Harry and Meghan Netflix series, and it's like, let's try and present this picture of the royal family being racist and Meghan being victimized, all of that. In latter months, Brittany Doria's spent a lot of time away again. She looked completely miserable, being dragged into the With Love Meghan debacle. So it's absolutely not as close as it was in those days immediately following Megxit. I would also say the GB News royal coverage cannot be trusted now, though. I think that has obviously been proven by this, but more to the point because of the fact that their royal correspondent, a guy called Cameron Walker, has incredibly close connections with Omid Scobie and Meghan Markle's PR team. So they're just an extension now, GB News, of the mainstream media, which does regurgitate whatever Harry and Meghan want them to do. Now, Brittany, we've got to talk about this story, which really was overshadowed last week because there was so much going on. But this new documentary that Meghan and Harry have bought into via Archewell, Cookie Queens, which is all about young Girl Scouts of, I believe, 5 to 12 years in age, going on camera to talk about their lives selling these cookies, just struck me as being utterly hypocritical, Brittany, at the same time as these two were campaigning against the new Australian law that banned children from appearing on social media. Because on that exact day, you could see in that picture there is Meghan on her own Instagram story plastering the faces of these 5 to 12-year-olds all over social media. I'm like, do you not understand how stupid you look? Do you not understand how incongruent these two things are? And then also, Brittany, I know they're trying to take credit for this movie. I know the entertainment industry, they had nothing to do with it. They bought into this, Brittany, at the very last minute to try and give the production a boost at Sundance. But the other thing which has been missed in all of this is that Netflix turned it down because there's a first look arrangement, which means that because this is an Archewell production, which Harry and Meghan are executive producing, they have to take it to Netflix to say, do you want this? They clearly said no, because now they're going to Sundance. And I know that sounds like a really good thing. Oh, Harry and Meghan are at Sundance with their new film. But what they're actually trying to do at Sundance, Brittany, is just sell this documentary. They're effectively on the open market now, hoping that someone, be it another streamer or some type of distributor, takes the production at Sundance. So basically what I'm saying is that this was a car crash of epic proportions in terms of it being a new project. It goes totally against their messaging, which is that we should protect young kids from social media because these are 5 to 12-year-old girls. And also it shows that there's very limited demand from Netflix to have anything to do with what they're doing.
But Dan, she's an entrepreneur, and this is what they're focusing on in the documentary is these young girls being entrepreneurs like Meghan Markle is kind of how she frames it. But it's 100% the case of Netflix passed on this. And in the broader context of what's going on in the industry right now, Netflix is king. So we heard, I think it was last week, or maybe the week before, that Netflix is planning on buying Warner Brothers. They've come to some sort of deal. Paramount is going to try a hostile takeover. And really what we've seen in the industry is really a devastation of projects, and that the only company or studio you could say with money is Netflix. And Netflix almost puts anything up. They'll put anything up. So if they passed on this documentary, I would argue that's a really bad sign because it should be something that they want. They put up a ton of stuff. They have constant content. And so I think when it comes to this, yes, I think a lot of the footage was captured before Harry and Meghan got into the project, but at the same time they saw an early draft. So I think they had some let's say, creative input into this property. And Netflix knows at this point, Harry and Meghan can't sell stuff. Their name does not sell a project at all. Even if they're the stars of it, even if they're not, the project doesn't sell. And Netflix is looking for things that are successful and is not willing, I think, to endlessly bankroll Harry and Meghan, which is why they switched them over to a first look deal. Unfortunately, as Harry and Meghan take this to Sundance, Sundance itself is not as prestigious as it used to be. That's what I've heard. And if they're shopping around to studios, there's a lot less studios to bite. Fox has been gobbled up by Disney. We had the Paramount situation trying to buy Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is going under. You have, you know, maybe Amazon and MGM could buy it because they're been collaborated together as well. But there's just not a lot of options here.
Yeah,
And
that
I think,
feels most likely, given that's where Meghan did her new acting role in an Amazon movie, and she's trying to build that relationship with Jeff Bezos. But I totally agree with what you're saying. It doesn't enhance the project at all. Indeed, I would argue that the makers of Cookie Queens may well have made a real mistake by partnering with Harry and Meghan, because I actually think a lot of the streamers, Brittany, and the distributors will be turned off, because buying a film that actually doesn't feature Harry and Meghan at all, but has a connection to them, is a bad thing these days. It's not some type of cachet anymore.
it definitely isn't. Harry and Meghan have no prominent place in the industry. Everything they've touched basically has failed. This includes podcasts. This includes shows. This includes Meghan's book, The Bench. The only thing that has made Harry and Meghan and the people who are paying them money is Harry and Meghan ragging on the royals. And that's it. They have no star power. This project, it's like the Girl Scouts is not as big a thing. I feel like the cookie selling time of year is not as big as it used to be. And so I just feel like this whole thing is a mistake. And when you put Harry and Meghan on a project, you guarantee that there's a certain percentage of the population who will not watch it simply because Harry and Meghan's name is attached. And this director is either gullible or ignorant, because I wouldn't touch Harry and Meghan if I was a producer, because their brand is so toxic in this industry that is dying, which is Hollywood. You don't want to attach yourselves to a brand that already alienates half the audience. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So I think it was a fool's errand to attach Harry and Meghan to this, and I don't think they will help its prospects whatsoever. I think they'll actually damage it.
Now, Brittany, next month, Prince Harry has arguably the most insane court case he has ever taken on, apparently coming in front of a judge. I mean, it feels difficult to believe, Brittany, that he will actually go through with it. And after more revelations last week about just how weak Harry's side's case looks, this is obviously the big court battle versus the Daily Mail, but it involves other celebrities like Elton John and David Furnish. You posted, Harry's going to bankrupt the people on this case with him, and probably himself as well if this continues. Another facet of this train wreck of a case that looks like it's falling through. This is just a fool's errand.
It is. And the whole case, they're liable for potentially 38 million pounds if this case falls through. And I like how you guys do it in the UK with your civil system, which is that if you bring a civil case and you lose, you have to pay not only your court costs, but the side that won their court costs as well, which I think is actually a really smart way to go because it minimizes frivolous lawsuits. But Harry lives, I think, in the land of delusion. And there's people who are jumping on this with him. And I'm like, why? Because if this case doesn't come through, and you've had one of the people who's supposed to testify, like a key person in the case, say his testimony was coerced, somebody else said they didn't do what they did, like you have a lot of key witnesses falling through here and not wanting to participate. It's like, what is the point of this? And most of this is related to phone hacking, things that happened 10, 15 years ago. And so what is the point at this point? The industry has changed entirely. What are you going to gain here? And I think it's just Harry's vindictiveness. And there's other people who are willing to go along with that. And there may be some real severe consequences to those decisions.
Has the relationship between King Charles and Prince Harry reached a point of no return? That's the question royal watchers are asking after fresh reports and commentary reignited debate about the ongoing divide between the Sussexes and the royal family. Some commentators claim communication between King Charles and Prince Harry remains extremely limited, while others argue that reports about the extent of the rift may be exaggerated. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The relationship between Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the royal family continues to dominate headlines around the world. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're examining the latest claims surrounding King Charles, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle, the reaction from royal commentators, and why questions about reconciliation continue to spark fierce debate. For years, the Sussex saga has been one of the biggest stories in the royal world. From Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from royal duties to their high-profile interviews, documentaries, and public statements, tensions within the family have been the subject of endless discussion. Many royal commentators believe the relationship has never fully recovered. Others insist that despite public disagreements, family ties remain stronger than outsiders realize. The latest reports have only added more uncertainty. According to some royal observers, communication between the king and his younger son remains difficult. Some commentators suggest that trust issues continue to linger following years of public disputes and media attention. Others argue that much of what appears in the headlines is based on speculation rather than confirmed information. As always, supporters and critics have reached very different conclusions. Supporters of Harry and Meghan argue that the couple has repeatedly expressed a desire for reconciliation while also sharing their experiences publicly. Critics believe those public revelations made rebuilding trust significantly more difficult. This disagreement sits at the heart of nearly every debate involving the Sussexes. What's particularly fascinating is how every new report immediately becomes a global talking point. A single comment from a royal expert, a newspaper report, an interview, a public appearance. Any of these can trigger days of discussion and analysis. That level of attention reflects the extraordinary public interest surrounding the royal family. And few relationships attract more attention than the one between King Charles and Prince Harry. The bigger question remains whether reconciliation is still possible. Some experts believe time may eventually heal old wounds. Others think the divisions have become too deep. The reality is that very few people know what conversations are taking place behind closed doors. What the public sees is a mixture of reporting, commentary, analysis, and speculation. Yet the fascination remains enormous. Every development is scrutinized. Every rumor is debated.